Cause I'm in love with a stripper. She climbing, she rolling, she rolling. She climbing that pole, and I'm in love with a stripper. She tripping, she playing, she playing. I'm not
Oh,
going nowhere, girl. I'm staying. I'm in love with a stripper.
no, no. She got me. Got me.
Got me doing things I never do.
On. People are listening to this in the car. They might have kids in the car.
Hashtag NSFW.
Mom, dad, what's a stripper? It's just people that open gifts for other people. That's what it is. That's it. Don't look it up
Dude,
on Google.
strippers, hey, I feel like, didn't they say, that we can't really use that term anymore. There's like a more professional term for strippers now, apparently.
I don't even
I
know,
heard
man.
it the other day, but yeah, apparently like stripper, the word stripper is technically incorrect now. It's derogatory, but I mean, I feel like you can say shit, you can say anything now, you'll offend somebody.
Man, just cancel Peter. Just cancel Peter.
I'm canceled, guys.
I was like, brother, you couldn't pick a different song. Jeez. Oh, man. Peter, what's new? What's going on? How's life?
Life is good, man. Things are starting to warm up here in Florida. I had a sick race this past weekend.
Yeah, what is the race? It's not a 10K, right? It's like a.
It is the oddest, weirdest distance. It is a 15K. And every year, Jacksonville holds USATF's 15K championship. Dude, yeah, there were like 20,000 runners that came through this year. And yeah, we have a ton of like professional runners that will fly in because there's a ton of prize money and everything. But yeah, it goes through kind of downtown Jax. And then at the end, there's a big ass bridge, the big green bridge they call it the Green Monster. And I think it's about half a mile up, and then you kind of come down, and then you wrap up and finish and everything. So yeah, every year I think it was my fifth time running it this year. But it's always a blast. Everyone in Jax as part of the running community always gets out there and does it. But dude, this year it was probably one of the hottest days that they ever started out with. I think starting temperatures was around like 70 degrees, and then just kept climbing. And yeah, humidity was insane. But yeah, I think like three buddies that I ran with, they all pulled out because of like either like heat exhaustion, cramping, or one guy like he turned a corner and one of the guys behind him kicked his leg, and that like completely messed it up for him. So yeah, unfortunately, all the boys dropping like flies out there.
That is wild, man. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out when this next race is going to be.
I think you have New York City half this weekend, right?
New York City half, the United half. One of our PTs is going to be running it. I was planning to run one next month, but it's going to be calling it way too close for. I'll be speaking in Boston on Saturday, then flying back that night to wake up at 6 a.m. to run on Sunday. And I'm like,
No, that's too tight of a turnaround, man.
yeah, it's not like I'm going to be comfortably sub 140. Like if I get 140, it's because things will be pretty good, and like I'm going to be sending it probably for like the last 5K. I might just be stacking up more zone twos and just keep building. I'm already at like a 9 mile, 8 to 9 miles this week for the long run. But I think I'm gonna probably go to Cincinnati and do the Flying Pig.
Dude, I've heard really good things about Flying Pig.
Flying Pig for the marathon is super popular, but I was like, I don't really want to do the marathon right now. You can do this half, try to get sub 140, and then next year I'll try to get. I think I had sub 4 hours last time with New York, but I just got cooked at mile 20, bro. Like
Running back, man.
yeah,
Running
back. So we'll see what we'll do marathon training wise next year, but I think it's gonna be Flying Pig for this year.
Where's Flying Pig? You said
Cincinnati.
Cincinnati. Okay, dude, I don't think I've ever been to Cincinnati. You said, and you're going there for like a talk first, and then can you
No, if for that one, I would just be flying in, literally do the race, chill for like a day or two, then fly out.
Okay.
Need to find like a decent half marathon. The only other one I can think of is like Newport, Rhode Island, which is like running along like mansions and beaches, which is kind of fire.
Good. And is that in the summertime, or?
No, that one's like I think in like a month and a half or something. I gotta double check, but no. Christy and I were saying we might run a Jersey City half marathon.
Okay. Well, is that along the Jersey boardwalk?
Yeah, it's along that, and then I heard that the locals actually hate it. So like they'll try to cross the street and shit like that. But we'll see. It's
What?
flat
Then
and
why do they hate it?
because it just like takes up too much of like the it's gonna go through like Hoboken and stuff I think as well. So like it's just like it's very inconvenient.
Hmm.
Yeah. So we'll see. Jersey Half Marathon. I gotta write that down because I think that is the one that we're gonna end up doing.
'Cause I feel like a lot of times, like these races, they just boost so much, it's like an immediate cash influx into the city, you know.
Yeah, but us fucking New Yorkers and Jersey boys don't give a fuck. It's like, brother, I'm trying to get to work.
Tragic.
I'm trying to stack my bread. I'm trying to stack my bread. Dude, we have GGC one. Spots are done, guys. I'm sorry, but they're done. Rolling 40 deep.
Let's
Not
go.
this weekend, but next weekend. Peter, you excited? What are you most excited about?
I'm hyped, man. I'm excited for our pickleball outing, obviously, and then honestly, we have that was it little 10K action we got going on with them too.
Thank you. Fire.
Yeah, that's probably going to be one of the things I'm most excited about for sure.
I'm finalizing the merch. Came up with some cool designs, so I always love the merch shit, man. The merch is gonna be fire. We got some cool stuff coming in, and there's a really good coffee shop that we'll be stopping at after that 10K, and I'm super stoked about that one because man, it's nothing like a nice little cold brew action after you just finish running in the morning.
A little nice iced latte hits the spot every time.
Latte.
Andy was giving me a little quick preview of one of the trophies that we got going out, and so it's going to be exciting.
Yeah, we have some awards we'll be presenting live at the event, but we've also been sending awards out to people in our group that have been crushing it. So we've sent out a ton of 25K month trophies, 50K month trophies, and oh man, Peter, you smell that? Oh, it smells like a 100K trophy in the air. It's so close. We have so many people that are close. There's like 5 that are about to just hit it. So that's gonna be a fun one to order.
Yeah. It's gonna be super. Should we put some bedazzled diamonds on there?
I think the first one will have to put some bedazzled diamonds. Man, diamonds are bright. They're shiny and they glimmer. But if you don't know how to handle objections, you're living in dark times.
Pitch black.
Pitch black. How do we feel about that transition?
I was gonna say I was trying to see how you're going to link it there, but dude, I think that was pretty good, man. You got a little diamond transition into what we're going to be talking about today with sales. Let's make it happen.
Let's make it happen. Whenever we talk about sales, Peter's just like heart gets, palms get sweaty. He's just a little excited.
Pop a little top chub. Just hear about it.
We are doing a full-on series. We're going to be talking about objection handling, and we're not starting with objection handling at the end because you got to be able to set the stage, right? You can't just start handling objections at the end without setting the stage because people are like, yo, bro, chill. Now you're just trying to close the sale. Got to chill with that. You smell that? Commission breath. You got to hit the Listerine 3 times. That's what you got to do. Hold on. Man, I ain't got the Listerine on me.
Listerine? Go out.
Peter, how do we start the pre-objection handling?
Yeah, I would say one of the things when I think it was a couple episodes ago, we talked about, hey, like what were some of the common themes that we took from other industries, right? And I think once I started getting outside into the sales industry and taking a bunch of different sales courses, one of the most common themes that I just kind of took away was like, hey, everybody just kept talking about pre-objection handling. And really, it's like, especially in our industry and really any kind of sales, there's only going to be a couple of different objections that will always come up, right? One's going to be like, think about it, or timing, urgency. Maybe we have one on spouse. Insurance is always like a very common one. And so they're like, hey, like if you can just frame different questions that bring these topics to the surface, that way you guys can actually discuss and have an open facing conversation about it before you price drop. Then all the way up to that point, we're just being inquisitive. We're being very curious about their scenario and situation. And so like when I kind of started understanding a little bit more about that, it just kind of like blew up in my mind. I was like, holy shit, we can actually talk about all this before we even price drop. And so that was a really big game changer for us. And so I would say one of the big things that we definitely kind of want to get into is really just timing and urgency. I know a lot of times, like at the beginning, us as PTs, we're very good about asking, hey, like, well, how high is your pain? What activities does it also like hurt with? All these like kind of technical physical therapy questions. When you kind of start to layer in some of these like deeper subjective things on like how it's impacting their life, and why is it so urgent for them to, address it now? We're able to kind of unravel a much deeper layer of the discovery part of this perspective. So one of my favorite questions that I like to ask around like urgency and timing is really just like, hey, it sounds like we've had this for a couple different months now. I'm just curious, like, why are we finally getting or looking for help now? Because I think a lot of times, like at the end, after we price shop, it's like people always want to be like, hey, I just, I want to think about it, or hey, this may not be that big of a deal now. And so if we can kind of like create some sort of urgency and create a larger gap of like, hey, like, you know what, shit, you're right. I've been putting this off for 5 months, 8 months, 10 months. And if I don't do anything now, like something's going to happen. I can't stand to be in this current position that I currently am in any day longer. So framing questions around that. But that's one of my big ones around like timing and urgency. It's like, hey, we've had this for, a couple months now. Why are we finally going to get help for it now?
Love that. Love that. The key here is like, you might be thinking like, hey, they're in pain. Of course they're coming to see you, right? But you want them to be able to say something, even if it is the pain, right? Like the pain has become unbearable. Like, you need them to vocalize that, because I don't want to say you're going to use people's words against them, but you can reference what they said in the past. Because at the end of the day, people want to be consistent, right? So when you get them to vocalize these things, it's it's just more powerful, because if we're in the game of behavior change, people come to see you because they're in pain. They need to change their behavior. Behaviors don't change unless they're in pain. And until you have them speak about their pain, they get to feel it twice. Once when they actually felt it, twice when they get to vocalize it. So you got to get them to feel the pain. One of the other questions Peter kind of already alluded to, it's like, curiously, how has this been affecting your life physically and mentally, right? Or maybe even emotionally? What has this been doing for you? Or what has this been doing to you? And you want them to be able to say, like, I had a patient it's probably like a couple of months ago, and I was like, hey, how's everything going? How's things been feeling? And he's like, I'm just so freaking stoked, man. Today's the first day where I woke up and I felt great. I didn't think about how much pain I was going to be in for the rest of the day. And chronic pain, we just taught a seminar this past weekend. I'm like, guys, what you do is super important, because when you've been in chronic pain for a long period of time, your movement options are limited. You're always second guessing yourself. You're constantly thinking about, is this going to be good versus bad? Is this going to get worse tomorrow? All of those thoughts are freaking exhausting, which is why so many people in chronic pain do feel fatigue. So asking that question, you get some crazy responses. Have you heard some responses, Peter, where you're like, wow, I'd never even thought about something?
Bro, I've had people cry on an eval just from like a simple question. It's like, hey, like, how has this impacted you over, however long they've been dealing with it for? And so like, I still remember the first time I asked that, and like the person just started like tearing up, crying. I was like, holy shit, like, did I ask the wrong thing? But I think it's really just like, hey, I don't think they've ever had a healthcare provider like get that level of deep emotion connection with them, of like asking them, hey, how has this actually impacted your overall quality of life? And so it's just like, it's a simple question. And you guys are already asking like, hey, like, was it hurt with, scale 0 to 10? Just ask one more additional question on surrounding that. It's like, hey, you've been dealing with all this. How has this impacted your overall quality of life, or impacted your ability to do XYZ, activity that you want to be able to get back into? But yeah, now it's like, we have this ongoing joke, with my PT team. It's like, hey, how many people can we make cry this week? From like a good way, because I think a lot of times it's like, if we can get that level of deep emotional layers and connection with them, we know it's like a 98% close afterwards. Like, it doesn't matter what the price is. Like, we got that emotional connection. It's a close.
In this next follow-up question, you kind of have to read the room a little bit, but it could be very impactful to ask, what happens if nothing changes? Because obviously this is a lot, but like, what happens if nothing changes? Because what we want to create is want to contrast, right? It's like, if you're like, I can't bear to be in this position anymore, then we got to create a contrast to one, a potentially better situation. Or like, if they find that what you do is super valuable, you can be like, hey, listen, if not, you already said from a physical mental perspective, this has been taking a toll on you, and I hate to see that. And if nothing changes, you already alluded to the fact that like this is going to happen. So at the end of the assessment, you might say something like, I'm just so grateful that we found things, because these are things that we can definitely help improve your pain, your function, get you back to doing X, Y, Z.
I love that. One of the things that I love doing is having them defend their position in terms of why they're looking to get help. And so it's like, I guess this also goes a little bit around like the timing and urgency, but it's like, hey, a lot of people are totally okay with like continuing to deal with this and continue to kind of just let it linger. Like, why not just continue to do that? Why are we finally looking to get help now? And it forces them to kind of really double down on, well, I'm just so sick and tired of it. And I really want to, get this issue resolved now, or, hey, I've got this XYZ coming up and I know I can't continue to kind of let this thing, leave it to the back burner. I have to get it addressed now. But oftentimes, yeah, if you just get them to kind of ask, like, hey, like, well, why not? Like, so many other people in this world, like, all are okay with, living and dealing with XYZ nagging. Like, why not you as well too? But yeah, it just forces them to double down on it.
Yeah, one thing to remember, it's like some people won't go that deep, right? And then you can always make a joking remark. It's like, listen, doesn't sound like anything serious, but I'm sure there's got to be something, right? Because no one's hobbies are, long walks on the beach and getting evaluated at physiotherapy. Like, you're here for obviously something. So I'm curious, like, what really brings you in? Like, what's something that's urgent?
I love that. One more question that I really like to kind of really seal the deal in terms of like, hey, making sure that they like take action is like whatever issue that they're dealing with, right? Like, hey, like, do you feel like today is finally the day that we decide to draw a line in the sand and decide to take action towards getting XYZ issue resolved so that you can finally insert dream outcome? Because I think a lot of times, like at the end, after you price drop and you kind of show them what it looks like, there a lot of times like these questions around framing around like urgency is really to like help them decide like, hey, like today is the day. I don't need to like think I have all the answers I need. Like, as long as I have the right plan in front of me, it's something I want to take action on. But yeah, that was like a line that I heard in one of the previous sales courses I took. It was like, hey, do you feel like today's a day where we decide to draw a line in the sand and say, hey, no more. We're going to finally do something about it today. And it's really just, it's a motivational interview. It's really kind of what I think about. It's like, hey, like what behavioral changes are we going to do that's different from all the previous actions that we've done before in the past? Because all the stuff we've done before in the past has led us exactly to here, to this point. We've delayed. Cool. We have to do something different today.
And what Peter just said was super important. He defended the reason why he's asking that, right? Because like people delay, and that's why we're here today. There's a rationale for everything that we're asking, because you're going to get some pushback. It won't be common, but there will be people like, why are you asking me those questions? Why are you asking me all these urgency and consequence questions? And all you're just simply going to say, it's like, hey, what we do requires you to do a ton of work in order for it to work, right? You're only going to be seeing us like once a week, and you're going to be doing a lot of stuff between our appointments, and you need a lot of internal motivation. So if there's not an intrinsic motivation, not an internal motivation to want to change, I just want to make sure that you're here and you're motivated, because we are going to give you a plan, but we can't carry out that plan.
Love it. And you can always kind of frame it too. It's like, hey, all of our best clients are always the most motivated ones who always decide to take action. Our best clients who get the fastest results, they decide to, move very fast, implement in every single thing that we tell them to do. And so we just want to make sure, hey, like everybody that we onboard and bring on as a client has always the best results. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was going to say, if you're in a city, like in New York City, one of the things that I ask, because we have so many people that work in finance, consulting, and they're traveling all the time. So I have a two-step question. One, more from a physical therapy side, right? It's like, hey, what does your week look like from physical activity perspective? Because I need to see what we need to build you back up to. Is it 3 runs a week, 3 training sessions a week, 3 and 3, etc.? Like, what does that look like, so I know what we can build up to? And then my follow-up question would be like, hey, just curious, like, do you have any like big travel plans or anything like that coming up? And why you want to be able to ask that question is because if people have travel plans coming up, they're at the end might be like, let me think about it, because I've got a lot of travel coming up and I would rather make a decision when I get back. And then crickets, nothing's going to happen, right? So your goal is to ask that question. And when they say the travel plan's coming up, you say, awesome. And I don't want you to even stress about it, because one of the things that we do is we actually provide virtual consultations. Tons of our patients, right, travel for work. So like, it's one of the things that we've found to be extremely useful to keep you consistent and make sure that you're getting back to what you want as fast as possible.
Love
So
it.
now when you present that at the end and say, hey, totally get that you have to travel. Remember, this is normal, right? Like you traveling is normal. We do a lot of virtual consultations with patients. It's in the nature of the city that we live in. And a lot of the people that we work with are traveling every single week. So, we can definitely accommodate for those things.
I love that. Another thing around schedule, I think we just kind of framed or asked around, hey, like logistics of being in one place versus kind of like traveling. But another thing we can ask about is, hey, do we have the actual bandwidth to actually be able to commit in maybe like, hey, 2 or 3 times a week of doing 15 to 30 minutes of a workout that will program out for you? I think one of the things that we've gotten hit before in the past is like, hey, I'm like, my life is super crazy right now. I'm like chauffeuring my kids all around and everything. And so alongside schedules, like, hey, typically if we were to work together, we typically need you to be able to commit at least, 30 minutes a couple times a week to be able to actually, commit to a workout. With everything that you have going on with your family and your work, travel schedule and everything like that, is this something that you're able to commit to? So that you can actually, make some changes and work out, get this issue moving forward in the right direction. That way they can't be like, hey, at the end, it's like, oh man, like I've got XYZ, XYZ, XYZ. I can't do it. It's overwhelming. It's overwhelming.
Yeah, I had a great chat with Pete DeBoy. He's a partner at Cressy, and I've seen him present twice, and his last presentation was at Mike Boyle's spring seminar last year. And he said, we use sales psychology to help people make better decisions. There are going to be people, especially if you're a cash based physical therapist, the unfortunate reality of what we do is that no one ever comes to see us first. People come to see cash based physical therapists after they've been to typical insurance clinics, exhausted options, and just haven't been able to get the outcome haven't been able to get outcome that they want. So with that, it's like you're going to have people that have limiting mindsets about what physical therapy is capable of accomplishing. So your goal is to help direct them. Sales is leadership. People are doing things for the first time, right? It's the first time maybe that they've been in a cash-based physical therapy clinic. It's the first time that they're experiencing what you do what you do, right? Your business is completely different than another business. So it doesn't matter if people have seen a lot of different surgeons, physicians. It's the first time interacting with you. So your goal is to lead them. And sales psychology, it can be used for good and it could definitely be used for bad. Your goal is, if you're a good person listening to this, you're leveraging to help people make good decisions. If you're an asshole, just pause and don't listen to the next subsequent parts, right? Don't do it. But don't feel bad about helping people make good decisions. How many times have someone had guided you along the way of doing something you're kind of thinking twice about and it ended up being the best thing you've ever done for yourself?
Yeah, I would say everybody who's come in and worked with us, like not one person has like turned around and said, hey, like I regretted all this actually moving forward with this program. Everyone who's moved forward has always been ecstatic. Like, hey, so happy that you got me over the line so that we could actually do this. But yeah, regarding sales psychology, we have every day when we meet with our SDR team, it's funny. Like there's about 4 of us on the call every single day. The other week, one of our SDRs showed up to the call with her, like, she had like, I guess she was a little bit sick underneath the weather. And then one of our other SDRs, she was like, oh man, how does that make you feel? How is that like, how is that impacting your overall life right now? And it's so funny because like, these are all questions that we're trained to do. And she's not just like wrapping into that. She's like, hey, like, have you ever thought about what might happen if this issue continues to linger and continues to get worse? What might happen to that? But yeah, it's just so fun. It's like once you start kind of like integrating these questions in, they just kind of like start to show up in like meetings and stuff. But yeah, it's just kind of like an ongoing joke now.
If
Yeah,
you do this, granted, I'm super grateful that I get to run a practice with my wife and obviously do go getters with Peter and Christy. So it's like we talk about sales objections and stuff like that all the time. Every now and then we're getting an argument. I'm like, hey, I totally get that I can change, right? But I'm curious, what makes you feel this way? You're diffusing the joke with like fucking comedy at the same time. Or it's like, yeah. Listen, I didn't even want you to
I
do that.
hear you.
I hear you, right? Because most people say always be closing, ABC, and that's a fucking terrible advice. It's ABD. We skip C. It's always be diffusing.
Love it.
Always be diffusing. That is what you want to be doing.
All right.
But I
So we
want to make
screwed.
one point though,
All right, go ahead.
that like, hey, you know, we've handled objections and everyone is super happy with, and then making their purchase and things like that. Even if 5 people were unhappy, but he did this with 100 people and 5 people are unhappy, he still helped 95 people, right? That otherwise wouldn't have been helped. And that's the mindset that you got to have. It's like, it is okay, right? There are going to be times where you don't get a positive outcome. No one bats perfect. Your goal is to bat as perfect as you can, but you're not going to bat perfect. You still have to take it seriously, but don't take it personal, right? Think about, hey, how could I have made that better for that person where that didn't get a positive outcome? It may be down the line when you learn something, you're like, you know what, we can actually help that person and let's come back in and like, we'll treat you for free, complimentary. Because you obviously took a huge risk and you spend your hard-earned money with us and didn't get the outcome you want. So we're here to serve. So I want you guys to think about that, right? It's like, you can't go in expecting the bat perfect because you will be frustrated. And if one person out of the 100, 5 people out of the 100, get the outcome that they're looking for because you started to do, some objection handling, it's worth it.
I would say another thing too is like, even if they don't close, by you asking some of these deeper questions, hopefully you get them to start thinking in a framework and a mindset that they would have never, ever like thought of had we only asked like superficial questions. I think a lot of times, like we always want to be, hey, like the nice guy. But I always think about like us as PTs, so all we're doing is we're coaching these people. And for me, I always like, yes, is it cool to have like a coach who's nice? Yeah, but it's even better to have a coach who can actually hold you accountable and can like lead you to choose like uncomfortable decisions and lead you into like the higher level version of yourself. And so I think like a lot of times, like that's really the mindset that we have to take. Is like, hey, can I challenge this person to kind of think of their situation and how they've been acting in a different way so they can take different actions and become a better person moving forward. All right. So we screen out schedule. We screened out urgency. We screened out deeper level of emotions. Another thing too is like, hey, different options, right? And I know we kind of talked a little bit about like, hey, they have so many different things that they can go out to these days. Like they can go to a personal trainer. They can go to insurance physical therapy. They can do, chat GPT, YouTube exercises.
Not
so
Claude. I'm kidding. Claude now, baby.
But it's like, you want to ask them, hey, like, well, what have you tried to do so far for this issue? And it's like, if you're getting a lot of objections around like insurance physical therapy, you're like, hey, if you have like maybe like a trainer come in who has like a very robust background and if you're getting a lot of like, hey, you know what, this sounds pretty straightforward. I feel like I could potentially figure this out myself. Then you can just straight up ask them. It's like, hey, have you, I know you're here chatting with us today, but like, have you ever thought about or looked into other options? Have you thought about like going into insurance physical therapy? Have you thought about like trying to, resolve this yourself? Is this something that you feel like you could actually, potentially fix yourself? And then that way you can kind of get a little bit insight as to like what their, how they view the scenario in terms of like their ability to navigate it. As well as like, hey, if they haven't gone to insurance physical therapy, now's a really great opportunity for you to be able to tell them a little bit about the differences between the two of you guys instead of like waiting for that to occur all the way at the end afterwards.
Yeah, I like that, especially if you're working with someone that has never been exposed to physical therapy before in the past, because then you can also educate them, right? Because some people might come in and say, hey, I want to do shockwave, right? Yeah, totally get it, right? It looks super, super promising, right? But you can start to break down some of like the actual literature, like, hey, are you open to a different opinion on shockwave? So yeah, awesome. Yeah. And you can just reference patients in the past. Like, yeah, we've had a lot of patients come in and they were promised these amazing results by shockwave, but what it sounds like you're probably dealing with is something related to like a load problem, right? Like you need to get your body, you can't shockwave yourself into stronger muscles and tendons, right? It can definitely help in the early stages, but like it's just not going to be able to build you up. So it could be a great adjunct, but it won't be a complete.
Yeah, I really like just asking them or getting their viewpoint on all the other options there are out there, because I think if at any given point in time they feel like they could potentially like get what you're promising them from another source for maybe like at a cheaper or even like at a faster time frame, they're going to go with that. And so you might as well kind of just like ask questions and get all these different options to kind of flesh the surface so that way you can educate them. If we think about like insurance objections, it's really just comes in a matter of like education. They don't know the differences between the two. All they know is, hey, the one place takes insurance, the other place doesn't. So we can get them enough information and educate them. Then at the end, now they can make an actual informed decision on whether or not, hey, like, are we the best and only solution that they should go with to get this issue resolved for good?
Love it, love it. One thing that you're gonna hear often is people that are gonna say, I want to try these things first. That's another common one. It's the I gotta think about it. I'm just gonna give these exercises a try first. You want to go through some sort of presentation where like you're talking about how you're gonna progress stress over time. So the thing I always say, it's like, hey, listen, we're gonna go out there, we're gonna be doing a handful of movements. And my goal isn't to do something that's like super, super easy, right? Because if it's super easy, it's obviously not gonna make a change. And if you continue to do things that are below your threshold, you're gonna get weaker, atrophy, etc. Now, if I do things that are way too hard, you're obviously gonna get hurt, maybe predispose yourself to injury, and we don't want that either. Our goal is to find that sweet spot, something that is challenging, but not super painful, ideally tolerable and symptom free. It's challenging, but not uncomfortable. And with that, that's going to be like a safe starting point for us that we're going to build on every single week. And the key is to say that like every single week. Because when you say that, you don't just go out into the floor afterwards and start assessing people. You always say, how does that sound to you? Because when they say, oh, yep, that sounds awesome. That's exactly what I want. Perfect. So when they say, I want to try these exercises out myself at the end, you be like, hey, I totally get that you want to try these exercises out in the end by yourself, right? The truth is that a lot of these exercises aren't going to be that helpful after a week or two. It's the same reason why we progress things every single week. And I remember when we chatted about that before we went out to the gym floor, like, oh, yeah, it's like, yeah, so you can totally try these exercises out by yourself, but you're going to need to get updated every single week. And you just live by it.
Yeah. No, I love that. Dude, I think the last one is really just spouse, man.
Now, this one is tough, man. Man, it's so hard.
Not the spouse, the dreaded spouse, man.
Oh,
But yeah, this one is one that I think we used to get slammed with all the time, man.
silent killer.
The silent killer, yeah. But yeah, we kind of started asking some questions around it, and it gives us like a little bit of a better insight as to like, hey, like, how prepared should we be in terms of like whether or not there's another decision maker involved with the process as well too. But we kind of go through like a couple different like, question sequences. First one we want to know is like, hey, are they married or not? And, you can kind of look on your intake form. Usually if they are married, they can put it as their relationship emergency contact. We'll typically ask them, hey, are you married? Do you have kids? And then after they kind of answer that, it's like, hey, does your wife also work out with you? And kind of see like what their involvement is with the activity that they're trying to get back to. And then from there, asking them like, hey, cool, well, like, awesome. Does your wife also kind of like, what does she kind of think is going on with your problem? Is she supportive? Does she know you're here today? And then, oh yeah, they're always super supportive. Yeah, they didn't know I'm here. And then this is like the big, big question that we love asking at the end to really make sure, hey, we know whether or not like the spouse is going to be involved in the decision-making process or if they are the true decision maker. So we ask it like this, like, here, awesome, cool. So today we're going to go through assessment. We'll figure out exactly what's going on. And I guess after the assessment, if it is something that we can potentially help you out with and you're excited about it, is this something that we'll need to loop your spouse in first before getting started? Or would you be the main decision maker? And then from there, that'll give you like a very clear cut answer as to like, hey, like who is going to be involved in the decision making process? Because if they say, hey, like, yeah, I'm the main decision maker, and you go all the way, you fast forward to the end of the evaluation. Now they can't go back and be like, hey, like, oh, I gotta go chat with my significant other. They already told you at the very beginning, hey, they're the main decision maker. Now, if they say, hey, like, yeah, no, I typically have to kind of, chat with my spouse over before we make any kind of decisions. Now, hey, like, cool. We probably have to loop somebody else in. And so you can set up like another additional follow-up call afterwards. But at least this way, it kind of gives you like a little bit, you can go into the pitch as well as the presentation at the end, a little bit more better prepared as to like, hey, like which way is it potentially going to swing?
Love it, love it. And that one is, I'll be completely honest, it still makes me uncomfortable. As New Yorkers, it's a different playing field. So like you have to like be kind of, you got to sneak these things in and like intertwine it with questions and make it come off supernatural like Peter just did. The one thing I want to make a point of before we close off this episode, it's like if you are the founder of the practice that you're currently operating in, and you're like, yeah, it's all good, crushing my evals, my close rate is so high. And it's like it probably is because you're getting word of mouth referrals, you're doing workshops, etc. Maybe you're doing some injury screens, and those are warmer, hotter leads. If you ever want to get humbled, start to run some ads, and people that have never heard of who you are before will come through your door. And that's when the rubber hits the road. It's like people that don't know who you are. Can you deliver enough value? Can you do everything right, set the stage so that by the end of that session, they convert from a smaller session to a whole package? Because there's a lot of people that will say like ads don't work. I don't need to do all these objection handling things. Like I'm already great at sales, but you're selling to like a warm audience, right? You're selling to people that know exactly who you are. Once you sell to someone that has no idea who the hell you are, that's when the game changes.
I would say also too, like when the sales goes beyond just you, I think a lot of times, like people who are founders, they can always sell with the most amount of conviction. However, when you start to bring on additional staff PTs and you have multiple different personalities, that's really where like things start to get a little bit trickier. And that's where like a lot of these kind of questions will definitely help streamline some of your sales process a little bit more when you start to develop a larger sales team.
Yeah, you want that process to be as uniform as possible. And in the beginning, when all you're doing is word of mouth and all that stuff, like more organic stuff, like you can get away with a lot of things. But Alex Ramosi said, like, no one on a team is bigger than the script. And I'll just share a quick story. I had last summer doing eval. This guy was saying all the right things, like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited to be here. This place looks amazing, so much better than all the insurance clinics I've been at. You guys are like, I love the stuff that you post on social media. Like, name it. He was like so warm. I was like kind of lackadaisic, didn't go through the stuff because I was like, oh, it's such an easy close. And boom, didn't close. Right. And I was just like, I will never be bigger than the script. I always got to follow my framework. I always got to create a gap. I always have to make them feel the pain so that they want to change. And that was my lesson last year. I was like, I had that one experience. I was like, nope, never happening again. No matter what they say to me during the evaluation, they could be the warmest person ever. I'm still going through what I have to do.
Dude, it's not just you, man. I've had my fair share of that as well too. Word of mouth referrals roll through. You just kind of skip through some of these questions, thinking that they're going to be a warm close, and it never really goes out the way that you'd imagine. So yeah, stick to the process, stick to the script. You're never bigger than the script.
Never bigger than the script. No one is bigger than the script. And you got to start with the script, and it's going to get updated all of the time. Since we've been doing GGC now for the past year, the script's already been updated twice. And it's not that we don't use either or, right? It's just like different strokes for different folks. Peter built one initially that was freaking crushing it for everyone. A couple of people were like, hey, like I want to like change a few of these things. I'm like, fine, maybe this will resonate with you more. But man, you've got people that don't even operate practices anymore that are coaching other people on business using the same exact scripts that they've been using since, Obama was president. Times have changed. And even within the year, we're constantly changing and refining stuff. So it's like you also can't adopt it and just be like, this is exactly what I'm going to do because you're a different business, you're a different person, you got a different swagger, a different tonality, all of those things. So we create a base and then we help people figure out what makes it uniquely themselves.
I love it, man. Yeah, the script should always be living and breathing. You're always going to have people with different personalities rolling through. So you always have to find some sort of, tweak or adjustment. That way it best fits kind of their personalities.
Living.
Yeah, never be afraid to change, guys. Like, never be afraid to change.
The script is a living and breathing flower, and the only way you can water it is fucking reps, baby. You gotta fucking water it with some reps.
Hose it down.
Let's get it, y'all. Go out there. Peace.
Peace.